Welcome. I'm Miss Jill, and this is In the Know. As you can see, we have I'm outnumbered on the panel this evening, and we also have a special guest. We're going to get to that in a second.
You're not a special guest.
I don't even know if after this many times you're called a special guest anymore.
You're not even a guest anymore.
But we are happy that you are here, Mr. Ramadan.
Yes,
so
welcome.
before we get started, we at Neutral Voices Media Group and our Neutral Voices like to give out a lot of information. We like to educate. We like to enlighten, motivate, hopefully. But tonight and some nights, we just need to talk. We need to have discussions where people feel free to express their minds. I was saying before the show that over the last few years, how I view things has been shaped due to the people that I've been around, how people feel when I ask them something. Why do they feel about that? So sometimes we just need to find out what other people think. So tonight we're going to do a little bit of that. First, Ramadan, if you would briefly introduce yourself for those who do not know.
My name is Ramadan Abdulaziz. I am the current sitting president of the Black Chamber of Commerce, Fort Wayne, business owner and business coach. I also sit on the redevelopment commission of the city of Fort Wayne.
Well, thank you for being here.
You know, so I can blame you about that.
And we'll talk about it Thursday, man.
Can I blame you? Can I blame
It's
you?
a redevelopment. That's community development.
Oh, okay.
And here comes the ambush.
You gonna pass a buck on that one? I feel you. I feel you.
We do appreciate your work in the community.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we're going to get right into it. We're going to watch a very short video. So definitely stay with us. We're going to discuss this afterwards, and it may get a little controversial, but always respectful. So let's go ahead and get ready to watch the video.
We need to come together and do one thing: stop participating. And when we do that, the game is over. When we literally say Monday morning, we're not going to go to work. Imagine if 30 million people didn't go to work Monday. Imagine if 30 million people didn't buy gas on Monday. Imagine if 30 million people went to the bank on Monday and said, I want to withdraw all my money. They can't even give it to all 30 million because only 15% of the cash is available on hand at any given time. The rest is fake zeros and ones. That would collapse the banking system in one day. You see the power in that? You have the power. Well, we all have the power, but what's keeping us back from doing this? Fear. Oh my God, if I don't go to work, I'm going to get fired. And if they don't participate in it, and I'm the only one that doesn't show up for work, I'm going to lose out, and I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I'm not going to be able to make my car payment, and so forth and so on. You see the trap they have us in? They have us in this system where we're afraid to work together. Man, we're brothers. We should be, link up. Let's do this together.
So just a little breakdown of the video. I know that I've thought this before just as kind of a joke. Like, we fight against so many different things, so many organizations. We fight for freedom, equality, the list goes on. We protest, we do this. But we do whatever the government tells us to do in terms of if gas was $20 tomorrow, I would go to the gas station and I would put gas in my car to go to work. So this video just kind of says, like, this is what we can do if we get together. And why haven't we done it yet? I mean, we fight against everything else. Who wants to take that one first?
I first want to, in all due respect, Jill, that was specific for a group of people. It's
Correct.
Not a we thing. It's a us thing. And that's not being disrespectful, but you got to put the video in context. Mm-hmm. And secondly, it's not about the government. It's about the commerce of where we are and where we stand as an economical nation. Mm-hmm. And here's the problem. And I heard him say this one thing, and we can get deeper in there, but I'm going to put mine out there, what he said. He said, we have a fear of, what if I don't get my paycheck? What if I don't get this? What if I don't get that? Which is an honest fear for most people. But I think a lot of our fear also goes from, and Ramadan, I would love to hear your perspective on this, is that when I step out there, how many of my people are going to leave me alone? How many people are not going to support me? How many people? And I think that's a lot of fear why we don't take that extra leap. Not only because I know people that left the corporate world, but in that first couple of months, the first couple of years, actually, it's and then some are still today are like, why aren't my people here? I know a man that has had several businesses. And he talks about how the lack of people come in and talk, he's doing a good thing, but we don't support him. So I think that's a bigger fear than anything else. What do you think, Ramadan?
Ooh,
That's loaded.
Is it loaded?
That is loaded.
Let's run with it.
Well, there's nothing wrong with it. Actually, that's one concern for sure. Um, I, I mean, what this young man is talking about specifically is why we don't come together as a community and begin to control the economics of our lives.
Yes.
And I thought it was good that he talked about it, but I had some concerns about the way that and as you said, Clarence, you have to have context. So one of the items of context that you have to consider is how little resources we control.
Right.
Okay, so one of the chief activities of the Black Chamber of Commerce is to enhance quality of life through the and financial independence through business development. So we want to be, that entity that eliminates or helps to eliminate that fear.
Right.
Fear
Right.
of being out there. Now, I'll tell you, I've been in business longer. I've worked for myself longer than I've worked for anybody else. It's a unique place to be in, and it gives you the opportunity to think your own thoughts.
Yes.
That's important. So not being able to think your own thoughts, you spend a good chunk of your day, if you're working, and I've worked in corporate America, so I know. You're the day before, you're thinking about tomorrow. In the morning when you wake up, you're thinking about the whole day. But by the time you're finished, all you've thought about is how to not get, I'll use a school term, a demerit, for not doing well for your employer. Now, no matter how much you make, no matter what you do, that is always a prevailing thought. You always want to try to do the best you can for them. But the problem is that your employer already has a dream.
That's true.
And what you're doing is you're spending a significant amount of time
Fulfilling his
dream.
Yep. And no time fulfilling your own because you're too exhausted from fulfilling theirs.
Absolutely.
So you know, and not to cut you off.
No, I made my point.
The dream.
Yeah.
The Martin Luther King dream. The desegregation. We was already there before they tried to desegregate us.
That's true. We had our own.
We had our own. What you mean how?
Well,
we had our own. But see, we figured, with the dream and everything, that it looked it better on the other side.
Grass is greener.
And the grass was not greener. Actually, the grass was muddier. Versus our grass was already green because we had our own. We did everything for ourselves. We didn't have to look outside too much for anything because we did it. Education-wise, community-wise, food-wise. But when Martin Luther King said the grass is greener over here, we ran. And we ran into a mud pit. Now we trying to get out that mud pit where we can't even, we so programmed now where we cool sitting in the mud pit. And then the people that get out the mud pit and say, hey, we need to come back over here. No, I'm cool over here. I'm comfortable. Because the biggest thing is, if you're comfortable, you're not moving.
Right.
Complacency, yeah.
So if you're uncomfortable, now you moving because you trying to get out of an uncomfortable state. Am I correct or am I wrong? It just, it's just a little black guy in the corner. That's all. Hey, I'm going to go back to what I used to say. It's a guy in the GED section.
oh,
I don't always agree with you, but I definitely agree with that statement.
Well-
We've talked about that before. We've had very good conversation, and that is what it is. I mean, I think there might be a disagreement, but as far as a rebuttal, I don't know how anybody can have a rebuttal to
Well,
that.
rebuttal, please.
Of course you
love to
can.
hear this one.
Of course you can.
Oh,
That's
yes.
why you're here.
Yeah.
I can. Let me the first thing.
Come on.
Okay,
Straighten up now.
The first thing is what it was that we actually had, versus what we're able to get. Now first thing I'm going to tell you this right now, not a fan of integration, never have been. I understand it, I get it. It's too many people wanting it, and now it's here. Right. But But when I consider what we're able to do in our own communities, then I have to think about who's managing or who's controlling the raw materials.
Right.
All right. So we did not control the raw materials.
We didn't have to.
Well, that's where we start to, differ on our opinion.
Okay.
For example, if you were in Texas and you bought land, right, you would be perfectly fine with farming on top of the land. But your competitor sees the land in a completely different way. They're not just interested in what's on top of the land.
They're not sure what's under it.
They're
get that.
very interested in that. As a matter of fact, and you can see this if you've ever flown an airplane and gone east to west, you look down and if you get out into some of those desert areas, some in, like Iowa and so on, you'll see large pits. I mean, very large pits. They have concentric circles around it. You know what those are? They're mines.
Yeah.
They're huge. They're just digging these huge holes in the earth, and they're pulling out of it raw materials. They're talking about copper, and nickel, and silver, and gold. Bauxites in the Caribbean, but all of that, and then back to Texas, you got oil. So what we didn't do, okay, is we didn't look at how to fabricate and control the market of mining and fabrication to control those raw materials so that they turn out into these finished goods. Okay. Now, just one last thing. If you look at the Japanese, now if the Japanese only live on a small island. Okay, it's a long island, but it's a small island off the coast of China.
Yes.
Okay, so what do? They designed some of the best cars that we drive.
Yes.
And we like to drive them. And you can't imagine not having that kind of luxury. Lexus and Nissan and so on. But what happens is they don't have enough land mass to manufacture. So they have to do deals to manufacture the cars, right?
Yeah.
And then, so they get all the raw materials from somewhere else. They don't have that much land. They get all of the raw materials from elsewhere. They put it together, and then the finished good leaves. It comes back to Tokyo. To Japan, and then leaves and gets shipped out as a finished product.
Right.
Now they do. Now here we've got finished. We have Japanese plants here now. But the point that I'm making here is that even a small island of people who think the same way, who have the same desire to have a strong economy, to be a world player. This is a very large player in the world's market, the Japanese. Able to do all of that consistently, but they control raw materials that gets refashioned and fabricated into the finished product. So saying that we had our own, well, up to a point, but we didn't publish our own books in our education. Didn't prepare us to compete in a competitive society.
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
I want to hear.
I'll listen.
Yes,
I
we
want to
did.
hear what he has to say, and then we're going to wrap this one up and go on to
I
the
had
next
something
one.
real quick before you go.
Yes.
Okay. We did produce our own books. We did have our own food. So you have to think of it from a standpoint of this. How do you build a table? One end at a time, am I correct?
No.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay.
No, you have to chop down a tree.
Oh my
Then
goodness.
you have to identify what kind. You have to chop the tree down. Then you have to shave off all of the bark and the knots. Then you have to cut it into planks, and you have to assemble it and
Okay, are you
process it.
done? Are you
So
done?
no, you can't do that.
Okay, you're right. You know something. You're right. I'm wrong. I'm gonna leave it alone
Well,
because
it's
I already
not
know
right or wrong,
because
it's
you
a
Yeah,
because
there's-
you
not
missing
right or
what
wrong.
I'm saying. You start off at one end and you build. So when you build something, you learn what your land. So I got a little small piece of land, and I'm like, okay, I can't grow X, Y, Z on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
But and then you have another person say, hey, do you know you might could get something out of that land outside of growing something on that land? So it's the same thing. You start from here, from the small knowledge you know, and you grow from that.
Okay.
If you don't grow from that, how you think all this other agriculture that you saying that we mine the mining and all that, they didn't get that from themselves. Let's make it make sense. Let's get a truly understanding of that. Because if you understand, Africans was doing that way before they came over to the United States. And the Indians and the Native Americans that was doing that way before anybody else was. So you can't say we didn't know and we couldn't do it. It's just the point, okay, where do we start? You got to start somewhere to get to somewhere else. If I run a 100-meter race, I got to start at the start line to get to the finish line. Am I correct? In the process of that, either I'm gonna build speed or I'm gonna get slower. So you have to understand it was bigger than what you saying.
And I'm gonna let Jill get to this, but I'm gonna validate both of y'all arguments, and I think, you are looking at the end of, like, think about it. Usain Bolt said he trained 4 years to run 9 seconds.
Exactly.
Which is saying that what Ramadan was saying about you had to be prepared before you could build the table. So the problem was, and it is true to an aspect that what we can control is still to this day. Because that's what I want to hit with this guy. He said we could stop spending money for a day, which is true, and that would cripple an economy. But then again, what is that going to benefit us?
To what end?
Yeah, what is it going to
Yeah,
benefit?
it doesn't even make it. It's a silly conversation.
Yeah.
I understand what he's trying to get at, but it doesn't make sense
In the end, what is the benefit?
not what's the benefit. What is the end result?
Right of it.
What's the end result? If you had a plan to do that, I understand that. But do we trust each other enough to pool our money together?
That's what I started
Well,
out.
I mean, because we at this point of time, we don't trust each other enough to say, "Hey, Clarence, can you tie my shoe for me without you trying to cut me?" Or you know what I'm saying? And so you have to. And I get what you're saying on that end, but at that time, before integration, we was at that level.
Yeah, but to a certain extent, is what Ramadan was saying. But okay, Jill, we're gonna let you.
So school is out, but class is definitely in session. So I would love to listen to you guys. That's why we're here. But we do have another video to get to. So this next video is a little controversial, and there's just a little background. As I stated earlier, when you are around certain things and you see people deal with certain things, and you put yourself in positions to be empathetic, not to feel what someone else feels, but to be empathetic towards them, you start to see things in a different light. I say that to say this. I feel like it is my responsibility when I hear someone say something that is not appropriate to a certain level to call it out now. It's just who I am. So there was a white woman who I do not know on a personal level. It was just social media, Instagram, whatever. I don't even know where she came from, but she had posted a video and she had said the N-word probably, 25 times within a 1 minute span. So I commented and said, I don't think, I basically called her out. So she sent me this video that we're getting ready to play as kind of like
Her rebuttal.
It was a justification.
So I want to play this and I want to discuss it because let's be real, the N-word is a topic of conversation quite a bit. And I know that there are white people, for example, that say, well, they can say it, why can't I say it? So it's something that we want to talk about. So let's go ahead and look at that video.
I know that I have a lot of white followers, and I'm going to let the cat out of the bag on this one. I'm going to expose the real reason black people use the N-word. The real reason they use the N-word is not because it's a term of endearment. That's a lie. Don't believe it if you hear it. Here's the real reason. Because they're hypocrites. That's why. They use it because they feel it's okay for them to do it, but no one else can do it. Let me make the connection. Black people kill black people at an 89% rate. Do you see anyone protesting over that? Do you see anybody rioting over that? You don't. You only see people protesting for white folks killing black people. That only makes up 7%. You see the connection. It's okay for rappers to disrespect black women, and no one has a problem with it. But as soon as a white person does it, they seem to have a problem with it. You see the connection. That's why they feel it's okay to use the N-word, because liberals have fooled them into thinking it is perfectly fine for you to do something that is destructive to yourself, but no one else can. That's why they use the N-word. And that's why I don't.
So before we get into that, when I watched that, I realized fairly quickly that for one, that guy's white girlfriend was in the passenger seat, probably. For number two, I think she sent it to me because it was a black person stating it, thinking that because you're a certain color, all black people are going to feel the same. All white people are going to feel the same. This guy can feel however he wants to feel. However, we're going to talk about it. I told you my feelings on, what I think when I hear the word. Let's talk about it. N-word. Can anybody say it? Who's allowed to say it? Can she say it? Can the girl on the video say it?
Freedom of speech allowed to anybody.
I don't care,
say
but
it,
this is
it's the
different. I'm calling out
repercussions
something that is inappropriate.
Well, you want me to go, Clarence?
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Why y'all want to hear me? Why y'all want to hear me so bad? I'll just ask them questions.
We'll listen to you.
Well, at some point, freedom of speech. Say what you want to say. At what repercussion?
Yeah,
At repercussions. So at the end of the day, when I look at the word, I really to never use it. But if I walked up to Clarence and say, "What up, nigga?" is a word of endearment, because the simple fact, if I walk up to Clarence and say, "What up, bro? What up, brother?" Same difference.
Same thing.
Because the simple fact, he's not my brother, but he is my brother.
Yeah, it's a term.
So you have to understand how it's being used and the way it's being used. That word, for some odd reason, has umpteen brilliant different definitions to it.
Yeah.
And it's how you use it and in the content you use it that can make it good or that can make it evil.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to understand where you at and what level you are mentally to use that word.
I give you that.
So let's say you're dating let's just say hypothetically that
Not going to happen.
I know. That's why I said hypothetically. I know you. I already know.
Mm.
Let's say hypothetically that you are dating a white woman. Does she...
No.
You're with her. Let's say you're with
No.
her and you love her. Does she get a
No.
pass? Exactly. So are you going to call her out on that? Or are you going to like that's
I'm going to ask you a question. Oh, I'm finna flip it. Ooh, flip it. What are some words that white people would use that would make you feel uncomfortable a black person would use towards you?
Cracker.
that doesn't. I just think that's dumb.
Let's be
You don't
realistic.
understand the
There
connotation
isn't
of
a
the
word that's
You
that
a lie.
hurtful
You
as
a lie.
as that word.
Because
Uh-huh.
if I sit and say call you a hunky,
A what?
a hunky.
Yeah, she should know what that is.
You should know what that is.
I don't. I would
know what
not
that
be
is.
offended by a honker. Like, why would
She doesn't know
I?
what that is. You gotta. Don't go that direction. It's not gonna go.
I wouldn't. And
But you gotta understand. But you gotta understand what I'm saying when I say what I'm saying.
But like,
So it's
redneck,
yeah,
you know,
those type of words,
you know.
and it's just like it's the way that I would use it to make you feel, try to make you feel inferior.
Right.
but if it made me feel that way, I wouldn't walk up to my friend and be like, "Hey, redneck," you know what I mean?
But
Like,
here-
It's people that does do that.
that's where the
But it is right, and it's actually in the way that you use the word. Any word you can use is how you use the word. We just did a show about the difference between father and daddy. It doesn't make a difference. It's just how you feel about the word and how you
Correct.
present yourself with the word. But it's not just the word that bothered me about this man in this video. It's not about the word. Now, the word, again, do I use the word fluently? I'm not even going to lie.
he does.
Fluently.
He does.
Do I use the word
Very
I speak
fluently.
educated? I speak very educated when I'm around the people that need to speak educated around. But when I'm around the people that I don't need to talk like that, I'm free to use that word. And I use it frequently and freely. But here's what I'm saying. The problem is he put black people in a
box.
in a non-caring box, in an idea that we just do what what we want to do without concerns and things like that. Especially when he said, when black people kill black people, we don't care. That's an absolute lie.
That is a lie.
That's an absolute
Yeah,
lie.
I don't know one black person or any person who doesn't care that something like that is
and,
happening.
And when he said the liberal media, again, the liberal media has been using the N-word forever. There's a movie that I love that use that word frequently. Blazing Saddles. Has anybody ever seen Blazing Saddles?
Of course.
I love that movie.
Is that for honkies?
No, it's Mel Brooks. We know. Do you know who Mel Brooks is?
Yeah, I
Mel
do,
Brooks
but I'm
made
not-
this movie, and they use that word completely through that movie, and it's just funny. But at the time, it was late 70s.
Yeah, it was late 70s.
Yeah, when they made that movie, and they were making fun of the use of the word.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, there was a movie. We can go even further back when what is it? A Birth of a Nation. They used that movie to use that word and scare people that black people were these savages
Yeah.
or things like that.
Exactly.
So it's just how you use the word. Now we use it. Why do I use it? Like Eric say, it's just a word. It's like a brother. It's like it's not offensive.
So
but
you have a white friend because you have white friends. So
Yes.
let's say you have a white friend and they're using the word around you a lot. I mean, what do you think about
I don't
that?
have white friends that use that word around me.
because
but
they
here's
know-
the thing. Here's the thing. You set that bar. You set that limit. You know how.
Exactly.
There's certain things you won't say around your mother.
At all.
There's certain things you won't say around your mother.
Exactly.
Why? Because your mother set a precedence to say you're not going to say those things around
Right.
her, and it's just how you have that relationship with the people and how you have that relationship
Right.
with the word.
Ramadan, I haven't heard you say it unless you're singing a rap song. But what do you
Ramadan
think?
listen to Tupac, so I know Ramadan I use that word.
What do you feel about it? I mean, what do you think about what he said in the video? Is that why black people use the N-word?
Well, that's kind of another loaded. Okay, so first thing, he said that black people were hypocrites.
Yes, he did.
Okay, so there's only one book I know that talks about hypocrites more than any other book. Isn't that the Bible?
Yes.
Okay.
Man.
So he has a reference.
bro.
He's making a reference to a certain mindset that he has.
And I wonder if he really know what a hypocrite is.
I don't think he does.
Okay.
We need to duet that video.
Yeah. And the other thing is that he prefaced his comment to say that he knows that he has a large viewership of white people.
Yeah.
Okay, so
He did say that.
Yep,
Okay.
he absolutely did.
So the bigger issue that I have is who is his real audience.
Who's he
Was
placating?
he trying to?
Yeah.
Mhm. So, you get compensated if your channel has enough viewers, and his channel must have enough viewers. So if he says popular things that white people like to hear from a black person, then he's going to get more.
They're going to
viewers.
fan him.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So, again, for me, everything is within its context.
Right.
So now, if we deal with the N word in and of itself, black people are not in the box. We're not a monolith. So
No.
we're not just one person or one people.
No.
We don't all think alike. We don't all respond the same way to certain references. That word is not a word that I use. It's not a word that it's not a word that I would propagate. So I'm not going to have people or reward people for using the terms around me, because I'd have to wonder if they think that they can do that around me, then they must not know me.
Right.
Right.
Like we were just saying about the precedent. The
Yeah.
precedent.
They
Absolutely.
is
must
that?
not know me.
Yep.
Because if they think that that's what was that? You referenced some popular stuff, and I saw something on an old '70s movie, and they brothers, they were all football players, and they walked in and they said, "Well, we don't serve niggas here."
He said we don't need him.
And it says, "Well, I'm not. That's great because I'm not here to order any." Okay,
Wow.
so
That only makes sense.
yeah, I'm not here to order. So what I just want you to just kind of understand that within the context of how a person is making his point, if he doesn't establish what his point is first, and he said that his viewership was largely white, then and he's going to right? He's going to talk from a black perspective.
Yep. Yep.
And he's going to talk from one black perspective.
His
Yeah.
perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
So, anyways, I have really enjoyed that conversation.
So Jill, you gonna start using the N word?
It was very. I am not. It was a very tactful, professional. Lots of laughter. So, first of all, I want to thank everyone for behaving and keeping it professional as we always do.
I was told I had to.
I know, Eric, you did very well. So we want to first thank him and
told I had
congratulate
to.
him for that. Ramadan, thank
Take
you
a lot
for agreeing to be with us tonight.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, no
always good
problem.
conversation with
Yeah.
you,
Great conversation.
Absolutely,
with you,
and
bro.
that's what we like to do here is sometimes have conversations that may be uncomfortable or maybe we're going to disagree, but hey, that's fine. That's what we do, and sometimes that's what's needed. Tomorrow evening, we're going to be talking a little bit about entrepreneurship. I know Ramadan kind of talked at the beginning in terms of what he does. I would definitely call you an entrepreneur.
Definitely that.
Right.
So tomorrow we're going to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship. Join us for that at 8:30 for NV in depth. Again, thank you for being with us. And as we always say, as we exit the set, E.
Hey, always protect your mind.